Good morning. Today something happened to me that reminded me why I am so glad that I'm a gardener and why I'm so glad to belong to a gardening community. I consider you part of my gardening community, so this is really about all of us. Today I was strolling my granddaughter around the block, and I happened to see a lovely garden, which I pass by quite often, but I never see anyone outside. So there was someone outside watering the garden, and I just decided I would chat them up and tell them how much I enjoyed their garden, because I know how much that means to me when somebody says, just love your garden. So I went up to the woman and I told her how much I loved her flowers. Now, she and I had a little bit of a communication problem because I speak English and just a little bit of Spanish, and she spoke Spanish and just a little bit of English. So we were communicating, but not terrifically well, so I didn't quite understand everything she was saying to me. But I told her that I really enjoyed her spring flowers. She had some beautiful purple, I don't know if they were delphiniums, but they seemed like delphiniums, and just a whole bunch of them, and they were gorgeous. And she showed me flowers that were going to be blooming soon, and they were little sprigs in the ground. And so I told her that I was excited to see them, and what a lovely thing that she took such good care of her garden. And then I began to walk away with the baby. And I was probably about 20 steps away, and she kind of yelled at me and said, you know, Mrs., come back, come back. And I wasn't quite sure that's what she meant, but I did. I went back, and she wanted to give me some of her flowers, which really touched me because it was just so very dear, and it's really what gardeners do. You want to share. You want to share in the bounty of your garden and share in the beauty of your garden. So I took the little plants home with me. I asked her what they were, and this is where the mystery comes in. She told me the name of them in Spanish, and I'm going to try to remember it, but hold on, I know what it is. Okay, so the name of the flower is Cordon de Obispo. Okay, pretty good Spanish accent, right? That's 4 years of high school Spanish. I got the Spanish award, may I say, and 1 year of college Spanish. I was pretty fluent in my day, so I could understand a little bit more than what she was saying. And so that means Bishop Cordon. So, you know, it must have been named after someone who had it in his garden. But it is actually a plant in the Amaranthus family. So today I thought I would talk a little bit about the Amaranthus and show you the little plant that she gave me, and just feel good about the fact that we're all gardeners together and we're sharing and enjoying this journey. She gave me 3 samples. You can see there in the back of the stroller, 3 samples from her garden, which I am going to plant today. Now, these are called a very special name. Let me see if I can pronounce it. They're called Semillas de Cordon del Obispo. So I'm going to do some research and tell you all about them. My beautiful plant find this morning because I chatted someone up in the neighborhood. While the official name of this flower is Amaranthus caudatus, the common name is Love Lies Bleeding, which is interesting. It's an annual, passing from seed to maturity in a single season, and you can try it out in your garden without making a permanent place for it. The genus name Amaranthus comes from the Greek word amaranthos, which means unfading, and refers to the long-lasting blooms, not the lifespan of the plant. Its species name, Caudautus, means with a tail, and you can see why that's true because there are long swinging strings of blooms that droop sometimes from the very top of the plant to the ground level. Amaranthus gained popularity during the Victorian age when flowers were imbued with meanings, and the very gift of a hand-picked bouquet could transmit meaning to the recipient. In Victorian language, love lies bleeding represented hopelessness or hopeless love. So, yikes. But even before the Victorians placed significance on the amaranth as a beautiful decorative feature, it was very important for culinary purposes. It was a staple grain of the Incas, of the Aztecs, and other pre-Columbian peoples, and it was as widely dispersed as corn in the Americas at that time. So, love lies bleeding is drought tolerant and thrives on the heat. It requires full sun. Last year, I grew some amaranth in the backyard, and it wasn't in full sun 100% of the day. It did okay, but I didn't get as many as I thought I would. So I think this year I know exactly where I'm going to plant it. It is not so happy in soil that doesn't drain well. It's easy to grow from seed. The seeds are just minuscule, and it self-seeds prolifically, which I can attest to because in my garden this year I have little amaranth plants everywhere from the seeds that blew around from last season. In fact, because of that, in some parts of the world it's considered an invasive plant or a noxious plant. There's all kinds of different colors and forms, and however, because it's such a tall plant, it will require staking. I did have to stake mine last year. So, I'm so happy to have this plant in my garden, but I'm even happier that it came from a garden friend.